Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Alex Cook. And this video, what I want to talk about is Libra, which is the proposed cryptocurrency that Facebook has been talking about making. So it's been a controversial topic. So unless you've been hiding under a rock, you've probably heard something about Libra in the news. So I'm going to talk about why, even if they actually make this happen, why I'm not going to touch this one. So I'm going to pass on this one, assuming it actually comes out. The reason I say assuming it comes out is there's been some regulatory pushback. I think part of that might just be, political posturing, especially going into election season. Some politicians want to look like they're, taking some sort of stand, but, also look into who these politicians actually are. And some of them directly benefits or have gotten campaign contributions from social media companies. So, just remember, look what people actually do. Don't just look at what they say. That's how you really want to evaluate behavior. Because, people will say anything. It's like people saying that, hey, we want to crack down on big pharma. And then it turns out that's their campaign donors. All right. So look at actual actions. Don't look at rhetoric. But anyways, it's Libra's come under some controversy. But, I'm not necessarily afraid of controversy when it comes to investing. It can actually present sometimes some interesting ideas. If the market doesn't like something, but it is a valid concept. Sometimes you can pick up things on the cheap. This, though, there's reasons that go beyond just the headlines on why I'm not a fan of Libra, why I'm not going to touch this one. And the first one really is just what's the use case? So what Libra is proposing to do is basically have an unstable stable coin. All right, so stable coins, I talked about this before with Tether, which it's an interesting idea to have a crypto that's just one for one tied to the US dollar. I talked about how there's some risk with Tether that not really being discussed as much and probably should be discussed. But point being is, though, I'm not trying to slide the rail this into Tether. Just when it comes to stable coins, it makes sense to have something that is blockchain related but is anchored to a common currency, in this case, the US dollar. In the future, I imagine there'll be stable coins for, the British pound or, the yen, other currencies like the euro, things like that. Well, what Libra is trying to do is instead of being tied to the US dollar, it is going to be tied to a basket of currencies, kind of like the special drawing rights. It's been compared to that. So what SDRs are, it's a tool, used by the IMF to create basically an artificial currency that they use for special circumstances, sometimes dealing with bailouts of countries. But an SDR might be based on like 30% US dollars, 30% euros, and these are just hypothetical numbers. But point being is, it's not a currency that is 1-for-1 US dollar or 1-for-1 euro. It's a basket. So this creates risks of its own. Now, what they're trying to say is, oh, well, it's going to be more diverse. Well, maybe, but that can also work against you. Like, I can't buy my groceries with a basket of currencies. I can buy them with dollars, or, I can also exchange euros for dollars, and then, we can do that. But this basket, I think this creates more risk than it helps. All right, secondly, let's say it does make sense. Well, even if it does, then what's the upside for me as an investor to buy Libra? Is because essentially all I'm doing is doing a currency bet. Like, without leverage, it's not exciting at all. Like, without leverage, currency is very, very boring. Like, it's a very boring market. The reason why Forex traders can have, some excitement to what they do is that you're able to leverage up very, very high. Or, when it comes to things like being a cash trader on a sales and trading desk, we're talking about multiple millions of dollars of transactions. If, say, General Electric is selling jet engines to a European customer and they have to convert from dollars to euros or vice versa, they're making, maybe pennies on $1 million transaction, but on $1 million transaction, they're making money. Now, I'm not trying to side rail this, but point being is, if I'm literally just buying euros or yen or, just other currencies in this Libra basket, like, this is not exciting at all. Like, we're not even going to keep up with the S&P here unless something just extremely drastic happens. So that's the second issue is I don't see what the bull case would be for me to actually buy this. Maybe to hedge my currency, but look, I can already do that. Like I don't need Libra to do that. Now we're adding in, what's the risk of if Facebook falls into a hole? What is the risk of, blockchain in general? It's still emerging technology. Like if I want to hedge my currency, like there's a ton of ways I can do that already that, we don't need to start with Libra. The third thing is, let's say this does work, then I think the actual way to play it would be to buy Facebook stock rather than Libra, because that's who I'd see would benefit. But this kind of raises a question myself, is Facebook doing this as sort of a Hail Mary play? So here's what I mean by this is, I talked about this before. The yield curve has inverted and it seems to just keep getting uglier. So I think it's not necessarily unlikely that we see an economic slowdown in the not too distant future. Now, when I say this, some people think I'm talking about some crazy 2008 crash. No, just these things happen. Like it's never nice when it happens. It's not pleasant when people get laid off from their jobs, but it just the reality that recessions happen, and they usually happen about every 8 to 10 years, somewhere in that ballpark. And last one was 2008. So hey, we've been on an 11-year run now. So point being is, a lot of tech companies have had valuations that are ridiculous, like Uber and Lyft. Like I'll call them out by name. Look, I like Uber as far as getting around. It's really convenient to get around. But when you're talking about companies that are trading at really big price to sales multiples when they're not making positive net income, like to me, that doesn't make sense. Like I cannot justify that. I just can't justify that. So Facebook and social media in general, this too is a market that I think is going to see disruption. Remember, it wasn't that long ago that like the hot, trendy social media thing was Snapchat. All right, now pretty much everyone's migrated to Instagram stories. Facebook is the owner of that. Point being is, like 3 or 4 years from now, who knows what we're going to be on now? Maybe people are going to use Telegram more. I see a lot of people migrating groups from Facebook to Telegram. I think this trend could continue. Who knows? Maybe YouTube might be disruptive as well. But the point being is, a lot of tech companies, once they get to a certain size, they tend to feel that they're unstoppable and nothing can touch them, when that's just simply not the case. We could take a look at IBM. They used to be the king of personal computers. They don't even play in that space anymore. They're doing very successful, though, when it comes to like consulting. Take a look at, Microsoft in the 90s. They were the company that was on top of the world. Now, they're doing okay, but the Microsoft now, it's a very different company than the Microsoft in the 90s. All right. So when you're on top of the world in tech, it could be a short claim to fame. And what I'm wondering now is, Facebook may be seeing the social media trends starting to move against it. So Libra is maybe a way for them to diversify, branch out in new markets. Maybe, but to me, this actually opens up a lot of risk for Facebook, because we're talking about a very, very different business than what Facebook has been doing in the past. Like we're talking about a money services business. Like this is nothing at all to do with social media or selling ads, which ultimately Facebook is an advertising company. They are the world's largest advertising billboard, and social media is just a product that they do to get people to watch their ads. That's how they make money. So point being is, what I see with Libra is there's risk on this basket of currencies. Like I don't see that making sense. Secondly is, let's say it does make sense. Like let's just take that argument. How do I benefit from actually buying this? Like I don't see where I benefit. So what some people have been saying is, well, I'm not the target market. The target market are underbanked people in different parts of the world. Well, we already have things for that. Like, wasn't this supposed to be Bitcoin's original kind of thing? You also have microfinance. There's a lot of institutions that are already in place. To me, like Libra is a solution to a problem that doesn't really exist. So because of that, that's why I'm not going to touch this one. There's just too many hidden risks I see to it. I see this maybe as like a Hail Mary sort of play by Facebook, trying to squeeze out some last bit of juice, before maybe an economic downturn, especially if social media trends start working against it instead of for it. So I'm not going to touch this one, but curious what you guys have to think. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Really interested to hear what you guys think, because it's been a controversial topic. So let me know, and thanks for watching.